Welcome back to Royal Mantle, where we uncover the truth behind entertainment's biggest stories. The entertainment world's most dangerous alliance conceals revelations that will fundamentally alter your understanding of celebrity power structures. What you're about to uncover regarding Eddie Benjamin will completely transform your perspective on Justin Bieber's closest relationships. And it's more disturbing than you could ever imagine. Consider a scenario where an unknown Australian artist suddenly becomes the dominant force shaping Justin Bieber's entire existence. Wielding more creative authority than Bieber's own spouse, cohabitating with a superstar double his age, and generating conflicts that could completely annihilate one of Hollywood's most scrutinized unions. Eddie Benjamin transcends typical collaboration. He operates as the mastermind orchestrating every major choice in Justin's world, and the tale of his ascension reads like a sinister psychological thriller. Make sure to stay with us because this story gets increasingly shocking as we dive deeper into the truth. Eddie Benjamin's origin story unfolds in Sydney, Australia's thriving musical landscape, where artistic talent coursed through his family heritage like an unstoppable force. His mother expressed herself through professional dance, while his father maintained steady rhythms as a traveling percussionist, creating a household atmosphere saturated with harmonies and rhythms that would ultimately determine Eddie's fate. Raised amid constant musical instruments and creative expression, Eddie consumed music with an insatiable hunger, cultivating an almost mystical relationship with sound that would eventually mesmerize one of the planet's most celebrated entertainers. By age 14, Eddie had evolved from an inquisitive child into a captivating performer, commanding Sydney's underground venue stages with self-assurance that seemed impossible for someone his age. These shadowy establishments became his educational environment, instructing him in crowd psychology, energy manipulation, and creating unforgettable experiences that resonated long after the final chord disappeared. Throughout his teenage academic years, he established the Hayes Trio alongside schoolmates who embraced his musical passion. However, Eddie's exceptional abilities consistently outshone his peers, foreshadowing the remarkable journey awaiting him. His musical capabilities exceeded normal categorization. Eddie possessed an extraordinary ability, enabling him to perform instruments while simultaneously generating harmonic vocals, creating compositions that appeared to originate from supernatural sources. This exceptional talent attracted established performers' attention, resulting in partnerships with Meghan Trainor, Earth, Wind & Fire, and Shawn Mendes. Despite these noteworthy achievements, Eddie remained essentially invisible to mainstream audiences, deliberately operating behind the scenes where his genuine influence could develop without public examination. Hit that subscribe button because what happens next changes everything. Everything transformed in 2022 when fate orchestrated an encounter between Eddie and Justin Bieber during the Justice Tour. What began as a standard opening performance opportunity rapidly developed into something significantly more profound and complicated. Justin, renowned for recognizing talent, instantly identified something extraordinary in the young Australian. Their musical synergy was immediate and powerful, establishing a connection that surpassed typical artistic partnerships and entered territory that disturbed many observers. The bond between Eddie and Justin mirrored legendary musical collaborations throughout history, but with contemporary complications that earlier generations never encountered. They invested endless hours in recording studios, developing sounds that seemed to emerge directly from their collective consciousness. Justin started describing Eddie as music's future generation, publicly celebrating his talents while they're private. Relationship intensified beyond professional limits. Behind this musical alliance lurked a personality whose involvement would prove simultaneously advantageous and controversial. Sia, the mysterious Australian vocalist whose protective tendencies toward emerging talent had already generated concern throughout Hollywood. Eddie's introduction into Sia's sphere occurred through his romantic involvement with Maddie Ziegler, The accomplished dancer who had become Sia's adopted daughter through circumstances many considered questionable. Sia's immediate acceptance of Eddie as her Australian son followed an established pattern that had become her trademark, identifying susceptible young performers and positioning herself within their lives as a maternal presence. She provided Eddie with housing, mentorship, and protection. But what was the real price? This living situation positioned Eddie directly under Sia's control during the most critical phase of his professional development, generating questions about these relationships' authentic nature. The household dynamics within Sia's residence created a complex network of dependencies extending far beyond conventional guidance. Eddie cohabitated with Maddie while Sia maintained authority over their personal and professional choices. This arrangement persisted even following Eddie's relationship with Maddie's conclusion, indicating that Sia's interest in Eddie transcended his connection to her primary protege. You won't believe what happens when Eddie starts working with Justin. When Eddie began collaborating with Justin Bieber, the relationship dynamics shifted dramatically. Justin's fascination with Eddie's abilities transformed into something observers characterized as compulsive. Their recording sessions extended into comprehensive overnight creative sessions, with Justin treating Eddie's every musical recommendation as absolute truth. The Australian musician had somehow accomplished what many industry professionals never achieved: complete creative authority over one of the world's most prominent pop performers. Justin's album release demonstrated Eddie's extraordinary involvement, with his name credited as co-writer on 11 of 21 compositions. Industry professionals speculated that Eddie's contributions exceeded standard collaboration, with some suggesting he had essentially ghost-written substantial portions of Justin's material. The album's chaotic launch, characterized by last-minute modifications and incomplete acknowledgments, only intensified speculation regarding Eddie's actual creative dominance. Eddie's control over Justin became progressively apparent to their associates. Colleagues and industry experts observed how Justin's focus shifted away from his established collaborators toward the young Australian who seemed to possess an almost hypnotic influence over the pop icon. Their public interactions revealed an intimacy many considered inappropriate for a married individual, with Eddie receiving attention and affection levels that Justin seldom demonstrated toward his own spouse. The situation reached a crisis point during recent public events where witnesses described scenarios that challenged friendship boundaries. At exclusive industry gatherings, Justin's conduct toward Eddie crossed lines that made spectators uncomfortable. He displayed physical affection that appeared excessive, treating Eddie with attention typically reserved for romantic companions, rather than creative collaborators. Don't miss what we're about to reveal about Hailey's reaction. Hailey Bieber's response to her husband's relationship with Eddie conveyed its own narrative. Individuals close to the couple reported obvious tension whenever Eddie appeared in their vicinity. Hailey's discomfort became increasingly evident at public functions where she observed her husband showering attention on his collaborator while apparently disregarding her presence. The stark difference between Justin's animated exchanges with Eddie and his detached behavior toward his wife generated speculation about his genuine priorities. The entertainment industry buzzed with theories regarding the unusual dynamic among these three individuals. Some suggested Eddie had become Justin's creative lifeline, supplying the inspiration and musical guidance the pop star desperately required to maintain relevance. Others questioned whether their relationship had evolved beyond professional collaboration into territory threatening Justin's marriage and public reputation. Eddie's personal statements about Justin revealed the intensity of his admiration, describing the pop star using terms that approached worship. He discussed Justin's musical capabilities with reverence typically reserved for religious figures, employing language suggesting their connection transcended normal creative partnerships. This intense admiration, combined with Justin's obvious dependence on Eddie's contributions, created a dynamic many found disturbing. The timing of Eddie's prominence coincided with noticeable changes in Justin's behavior and musical direction. The pop star, who had previously maintained professional distance from collaborators, suddenly appeared unable to function creatively without Eddie's constant presence. Their public appearances together increased substantially, with Eddie becoming a permanent fixture in Justin's life, rivaling his own family members' influence. Industry observers noted the unprecedented access Eddie enjoyed to Justin's creative process. Unlike previous collaborators who worked on specific projects before departing, Eddie had integrated himself into Justin's artistic identity, becoming an essential element of the pop star's musical core. This level of influence raised questions about such an intense creative relationship's sustainability and its potential impact on Justin's other personal and professional connections. Make sure you're subscribed, because this story is far from over. The controversy surrounding Eddie's role in Justin's life extended beyond mere speculation, addressing deeper questions about influence, dependency, and the blurred boundaries between creative collaboration and personal manipulation. Critics wondered whether Eddie's meteoric rise from unknown opening act to Justin's most trusted collaborator represented genuine talent recognition or something more calculated and concerning. As this story continues developing, the entertainment world observes carefully to determine whether this unconventional partnership will generate continued creative success or ultimately collapse under its own intensity's weight. The stakes couldn't be more significant, with Justin's marriage, career path, and public image all dependent on his relationship with the enigmatic Australian musician who somehow became the most influential person in his universe. The Eddie Benjamin phenomenon represents more than another Hollywood friendship disaster. It serves as a warning about unchecked influence's dangers in an industry where vulnerability and talent frequently intersect in hazardous ways. Whether Eddie proves to be Justin's creative salvation or his ultimate destruction remains undetermined, but one certainty exists. The young Australian has revolutionized celebrity collaboration rules in ways that will have permanent consequences for everyone involved. The truth behind this relationship continues unfolding, and what we've discovered so far represents merely the beginning of a much deeper, more disturbing story that threatens to reshape everything we understand about power dynamics in the entertainment industry. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, because explosive revelations are guaranteed as this controversial relationship continues evolving before our eyes, and you won't want to miss what happens next in this unbelievable saga.